Okay, here we are. Hello and welcome. So today we're going over uh, building a local brand. So building a powerful local brand. So how you can stand out and grow locally. And I'm joined by Laura from Smudge
Hi.
Copywriting and Digital. So Laura's previously owned an e-commerce and market stall business, EcoPatch, has done lots of copywriting and website design for small and medium-sized businesses. And we're both based here in the Barossa, so we're co-working today, so this worked out quite nicely. um, and Laura's also one of our business compass guides. So for our community, using her expertise, again, not just using what I know through business, but using your expertise to help share your knowledge. So we're really grateful to have Laura on with us today. All right. So we thought we'd first start off in, I guess, identifying why building a local brand is crucial, particularly if you're a small or regional business. I think because you're connected to your community anyway. And I guess building that trust and loyalty with your local customers is probably an, not an easy step, but a really good foundation for growth going forward, I guess. Yeah, what would you think? What's been your experience of being a local brand owner?
I
Who
think,
had our photo at the post office?
yeah, I think, when you are reliant on the local community to be purchasing your goods or services, it's really important to foster those relationships. And I think, I used to, I guess, work with other local businesses to cross promote one another, and
Yeah.
then also, very much appreciated when local customers then also posted about me and supported me as well, because
Yeah.
that did end up getting me quite good reach.
Yeah. And I guess, making sure that you've got we're going to be joined by a little miss. Hello. Yeah, we're doing a talking on the video. Um, so, highlighting those relationships that you do have. Hello, Audrey. This 3-year-old. On your website, your social media, not hide that information that you are a local community minded business, and that's what happens is that you have little ones with you that work alongside you. You say hi. Hi. Yeah. And also that sort of helps people to know who they're supporting when they do purchase from your business, I think, isn't it, as well? So
Absolutely.
yeah, it makes them feel good about buying from somebody that's local. Yeah. We wave bye-bye. You go to dad, please. Ooh, thank you. Um, yeah, so I think that's why, we think that's an important part of building a business is, making, and we want to work as efficiently, as effectively as possible. So that's why some of these things that we'll go through today are really just making sure that we maximise that exposure in our local community for our brand. So first of all, I thought Laura's the perfect person to talk about, maximising and making sure you've really harnessed your local SEO, so search engine optimization for your local area. So do you want to just take us through a few key points there of making sure that we hit those for our brand?
Absolutely.
Very high level, because we can go really deep with this, but it's just very high level tips today.
So I guess, probably one of the best places to start is the Google My Business profile. So if you have got one of those, I guess give it a bit of love, and make sure that you do update it, and put new photos and that kind of thing into that profile as often as you can. It's also where all of the people are going to leave reviews for you, hopefully, because that's a really excellent way to get some validation, I guess, on that listing.
Opening hours as well,
Yeah.
like if you're, if it's online, if you're open all the time, or why not you can put lots of information there that you think, well, lots of people do Google
Absolutely.
as a first point of call, don't they?
They do, and I think there still is that, hairdresser near me, cafe near me,
Search, yeah.
plumber near me type searching that's really, I mean, it's still very high level, and you do get search results based on maps quite often in a lot of the search results. So optimizing your Google profile and also your website if you've got one, with you can pop your location name in your title tag, which I guess that's getting a little bit more technical, but make sure you have your location on your website. It doesn't have to be, if you've got e-commerce or you don't do like face-to-face brick and mortars, like physical shopfront, having some sort of address on your website still. It can be a PO box or some other sort of partial address, because that way you still are going to be getting found by the location.
Local, yeah. And also making sure on Google My Business you can upload photos as well. So making them, identifiably local as well will help people to actually, identify, that's, you may have a non-local sounding name, but if they see images and just also with the text that you have, then you'll be more recognisable as a local business that they can use services or buy products from. So, and that sort of when the next sort of bit we sort of probably just touched on was encouraging people to leave Google reviews as well. So that's where you would manage that in that Google My Business profile.
Absolutely, because you can give people a URL link or a QR code link to hop on and pop a Google review in. I guess the only thing is people do need to have a Google profile to be able to leave a Google review, because it needs to be attached to somebody. But apart from that, Google reviews are probably one of the best sources of user-generated content that you can get. Giving your Google My Business profile a bit of attention is definitely a good way to boost your findability by Google.
And if you do have a website, so Max, I'm not talking about that SEO, probably you'll need to sort of work through and make sure you've got the right copy. So that's where as a copywriter you come in. But where would it'd be best to put their location so that it can find local or be easily found in local? So would that be like in blog posts and things like that would be a good way to...
Absolutely. If you're really targeting local traffic, then you would work really hard to put in local messaging as often as you can without making it look funky.
Yeah.
So I'd definitely be putting into title tags. So that's the name that kind of displays under your URL in the search results, and then also the bit underneath that, which is called the meta description. That's the other place you pop it in. But if you are trying to add extra content to your page, you can add photos and add like location names to your photos and alt text. You can pop blog posts in about things. And I think I used to often mention markets and events and things like that I was doing when I was in e-commerce, because it did actually then pull that local connection, I guess, to things that were happening locally.
Yeah. And that's the thing, when you're sort of looking at your marketing strategy and your copy content, things like, making sure that you're highlighting that connection to, you may have, do blogs about either your business or like tips. There's so many different topics that you could be putting it on, but certainly, showcasing those community events or local engagement that you're being part of. Not only is it showcasing that you're committed to your community, building relationships, but also by, naming and then linking. So the important thing is to link other websites into your blog post. That then strengthens, that sort of the SEO around your brand. And again, will connect you to more local people. So if people are looking up Tanunda Christmas Parade, then there might be a blog link to a blog that you've done about your involvement with the Tanunda Christmas Parade. So it's a little bit of planning for long-term engagement, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it can go the other way. If you're working with other businesses and they're mentioning you in their business, ask them to link your website. Because that way it kind of goes both ways, and that's Google really likes links, and because it gives some validation to the website.
And next we sort of looked at making sure that we're building partnerships locally as well. So, and again, this is about building some strong foundations for your business. So, teaming up with other people that can help, and finding, I think that mutually beneficial but valued collaboration is important because I think we've both seen um, collaboration just for one person to get ahead and actually to leave the other person behind is not sustainable, and also from a value point of view, not how we would like to approach it. But I guess there's certainly ways, that you can think of other complementary businesses. Like, how can you see that working for both parties?
Yeah, I think if you have a very similar customer avatar set or customer group,
Profile,
yeah, they can work really well. I think particularly if you do add value to the other business offering. So, I've done a few collaborations over time where I've, tapped into other businesses that are doing similar things to me. And they've been quite successful because we did bring like my audience was new to the other people in the collaboration and vice versa. So we did increase our reach. And it works really well, but they do need to be, as you said, they need to be really well aligned.
Yeah. And clear about what the expectations are and what the input is from both sides. So, for example, you could have a candle maker could work with a gift shop or a hamper emporium kind of thing where they offer a relaxation package in there so they can promote the package together in social media. There's some in-store exposure and offerings there. So there's, similar audience, similar sort of like wants and needs, but making sure there's some clear boundaries and expectations is probably what we've learnt to be, to make sure that everybody wins from that partnership.
Absolutely.
But certainly, let's have a think about, local businesses that complement yours. And it could just be, hey, I'm going to be updating some suggested itineraries of things to do in my local area or whatnot. I'm just going to put I'm going to put your link on my website. Do you want to do anything, for mine? So doesn't always have to be reciprocated, I suppose, but there is so much, benefit of joining forces with somebody else. And especially in this current climate as well, I think it's really hard for people individually and businesses individually. There really is strength in numbers. And I guess you can share some of the costs of things like advertising and promotions, but also, like you said, you've got an expanded reach then by tapping into that other
somebody else's warm audience.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's another good tip. Next, we're going to look at, so we just touched on it a little bit before, but about getting those sort of testimonials and sharing, because I think the local testimonials are a bit easy because there's a closer connection with our local audience. But maybe, do you want to just go into sort of why you would want to use testimonials and gather those reviews, and then maybe how you can do that?
Yeah, so I mean, testimonials are probably one of the first things, or reviews are one of the first things that a lot of people actually head to when they're looking at making purchases online. I know certainly I do if I'm looking for a new product and sometimes service. I will actually go to like people's reviews and things and read them first.
Or in groups as well.
Yeah,
like
absolutely. So getting like word of mouth referrals through either direct contact or through social media or reading other people's reviews is really it's a really good way to get validated, I guess, from a source that's outside of yourself. So whether you're getting like reviews through an app on your website or Google or Facebook, I think you can still do Facebook meta reviews. They're not the same as they used to be, but it doesn't. You also don't have to do that. It can be simply getting people to write testimonials for you, and then you can pop them on a web page or something similar on your website, or pop them in your social media.
I keep mine on a spreadsheet, so I like once a month. One of my tasks is to have a look and see, then copy and paste. So I encourage any clients that I'm working with as well to do that.
Yeah.
And just to sort of, that way you've got a list of them and you can make sure you know when you've used them on your website, rotate them around, different times of year or different services or products that you're offering as well. And then you can always have fun with it as well. Like there's other ways that you can showcase that. And again, people buy from people, but also people buy from people who have also bought from those people, that recommendation.
Absolutely. Yeah, they absolutely do. And I think, and particularly if you can get photos or videos as well of people with your product or having received your service. So if you're a nail salon, take, after photos and pop them up. Yeah, because I think a lot of that, people being able to see what your work's like and what the outcomes are, and also being able to see your product or service on other people makes it easier for people to visualize themselves in that space.
So probably be easier to relate to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just being able to kind of go, oh, I didn't realize I could use that thing like this. So I think, it gives a different dimension to your product or service, being able to have some like customer created content or user generated content around on your like website and social media and all the places that you hopefully email.
And just think you've probably got, or if you've got customers across the other side of the country or the other side of the world, that's also great. But also let's make it easy as possible. Let's get the ones who are closest to us, to get the people who we know, probably more personally in our own community first, and then build out that, that system, because I think then there can be some momentum. And what we're trying to, work through here is to build that foundation to be a great local brand, which then can have the solid base to then scale and grow.
Absolutely. I mean, because you've got that prior knowledge of like personally knowing people, it's easier to get those reviews quite often. People will do them just to help you.
Yeah. And that's it. And the other thing I think that comes with being, locally minded, community minded business owners, as we are, is, just making sure that there's effective community involvement, I suppose. I mean, you can do whatever you want in your community, but if there's something that you as a brand and a business are choosing to do within your community, make sure that you're, I guess, not promoting it for the sake of promoting it, but make sure that that's part of the story that you're sharing as well, because people do connect with that.
They do, yeah. I think aligning if you're sponsoring sports teams, or if you're donating goods and services to local raffles and charities and things, it is important to make sure they are aligned. And I guess making sure that it sounds crude, but you do want to make sure there is some benefit to your business.
Yeah.
Because if you're sponsoring something and the audience is not at all your target market, that's it defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
You can, definitely do it if you want to do it from an altruistic or philanthropic point of view. Like, there's definitely no problem with doing that. But I guess, using myself as an example, I'm not going to sponsor my kids' local sports team because as a copywriter, it just doesn't really align. But there are some other
community organisations
absolutely
that would align. Yeah.
Because I need to really be in front of other businesses. So, if it was a charity that was then largely supported, I'm going to say Foundation Barossa, for example, that would make a lot more sense, because I'm going to be put in front of other business owners, because that's who their audience is. So I think, it's just choose to do things that are going to help you, but also, as I said, if you want to do things for, simply the reason of, doing good things, do that too.
And thinking of, other opportunities where you can, if you've got a physical space, maybe where you can invite or open it up to other businesses to bring in, other good things happening in your community. Or if you're wanting to put, together an event and, that's going to be good for me, but also, gosh, it's going to be a lot of work. That's when that local partnership to, jointly host events can come into it. So I think, that sort of, again, we've talked about, that increases that visibility for you and your brands, especially in your local community, because you're extending your reach to another business's audience. So I think, and it comes back to being aligned with what you want out of with for your brand, but also what you've got to be aligned with people and with the events or other local community activities that align with your business and your brand.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, there's so many benefits that can come from those really well aligned relationships in that, I mean, you're pooling your resources and sharing the load, which is a, small business owner. The more hands you can get to help with those sorts of things, the easier they are.
And that's where, things like local town groups or business groups are really helpful to have that because, again, you pool those resources rather than everybody trying to do everything together. The hard thing is that you need somebody usually to organise it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if everybody's tapped out, then it's quite a hard one to get anybody to do. So, but there are so many benefits from that. So next, I think, we talked a little bit about SEO, but maybe like social media, how we can make sure that we're localizing on that and what that can do for us. So just some tips maybe of where should we be putting, Tanunda, Barossa or whatever, town, region on socials because there's a need or there is a use for that.
Oh, there absolutely is. While we can still add locations in Instagram, I'm not sure if
are they phasing that out?
Well, I thought they were going to, but you can tag the location at the moment when you create an Instagram post, and depending on, I guess, where you are and what area you want to reach, you can be really creative and
because you don't have to just tag your location where you are, but where you service.
Absolutely. So, and particularly if you do want to sort of grow into a larger audience, because that location tag is actually used by Meta to put you in front of people that are in that location. Using the location tag is a really good one. I would definitely.
So this is not for ads. This is just for general.
This is just for every post. I would definitely be adding location information in my bio and make sure that all of your details are filled in on your Facebook profile because there's lots of room there for addresses and all that sort of stuff and services and things. So use that to its full advantage. And hashtags. Hashtags are still a thing. So while they're still a thing, I would definitely be using location-based hashtags because they do. Again, the algorithm uses those to put you in front of people that are in those locations or using similar sorts of hashtags and looking at the content.
So it might be things like, we're talking about, again, a candle maker that's in the Barossa, so it might be hashtag Tanunda, hashtag Barossa Valley, hashtag South Australia, like those sorts of things. So, and probably not so much on Facebook, but definitely Instagram. So Facebook, Kat would say, maybe 5 hashtags, if anything. Not overdo it because it sort of loses relevance, I suppose. But Instagram, you've got 10 to 15 is probably reasonable as well. So, and also things like tagging other businesses if you're talking about or other events. So making sure you use the and then find that organisation because again, that builds that trust and that
absolutely. And you get put in front of their audience.
Community identity, I suppose, to resonate with your, your customer, your client avatars or profiles. And the other thing was in groups as well. So make sure you find your local regional business group, or advertise your business page. So there's a Barossa Valley advertise your business page. There's a Barossa Valley business page. There's a couple. So every region, every community will have something like that. So find a few, some from the neighbouring regions perhaps. So then again, you're just sort of starting to build out that that audience a little bit further afield because some people may drive an hour to visit you or attend a market or something like that you're going to be at. So don't discount those further afield. But certainly using social media to be able to attract local interests, making sure you've got those hashtags, those locations, the little map thinking on Instagram. And yeah, tagging other businesses as well.
Yeah, if you tag other businesses, it makes it so much easier for them to share you.
Yeah.
And most businesses will, if they actually,
Yeah.
they'll pop you up in their stories or something, then you are getting in front of their group then.
And vice versa, do it for somebody. If someone else has tagged you, pop it, reshare it, pop it on your stories. Thanks for the, thanks for the love, thanks for the shout out. All of those things can be, very effective. And if you build them into your everyday ways of working, that'll only just sort of like grow and build momentum for your brand as well. But yeah, so I guess that's probably the list of things that I had to go through. Is there anything else that
I guess
we can share?
But I guess, to try and summarize and I guess make it feel perhaps a little bit less overwhelming. I mean, everything we've mentioned so far doesn't actually cost any money. Yeah. So this is all, very organic ways of getting increased exposure to people. I guess the only real consideration is time and perhaps, choosing one thing that you're going to focus on for a month or a few weeks, depending on how much time you've got, and then just gradually kind of roll through making these updates and then schedule it in your calendar to come back again. So like the Google My Business profile, I'll be checking in on that at least once every 3 months. Update your times, update your services, update, images if you can. Make sure you're checking in on the reviews that are being popped up.
And they're really good, again, knowing those things or those tasks. I mean, sometimes they do take a little bit of time to set up if you're starting from scratch. But again, like Laura said, just have that, that review process built into your systems and how you work. It would be like, check, yep, still relevant. Oh, here's some new photos done. 5 minutes. That's all. Like it won't take you, and again, free. It's a low cost, low energy input once you sort of know where to put them. So this is, I guess I'll want to be able to share, what's a cheap free thing that we can do that are really effective as well. So we don't want to be wasting time on things that don't work. So we know these work.
And it also means that when you are ready to invest in paid ads and things, you've already done all the optimization that you can. So you're getting some good data around who you should put your things in front of.
And it will make for a much more worthwhile investment.
That's right. You're going to have a much better impact from your the money that you're outlaying if all of these things are addressed first. But also, I mean, if you get stuck with any of these things, it's a good opportunity for you to reach out for some support around any of the things that seem a bit, if they are just something you don't want to learn, which I totally understand. I too have things I don't want to do. I'm looking at you, Google Analytics, and I'll pay for somebody to do it for me because I just don't want to learn it. And I know that I'm better off spending a few $100s getting somebody to set up the tags for me than me trying to do it and spending like 2 days on it. It's a much better use of my time and resources. So these sorts of activities really do help you kind of, I guess, create a list of things that you want to do and that you might get some help with.
I think that's the part of it. Like when you're starting out, it's about work out what you can do and are good at, what you like to do, understand everything that needs to be done. But then if you go, look, this is not in my wheelhouse, not in my skill set, I don't have time for it, and then at least you're making a more mindful investment. You know what's involved, rather than just throwing money at the problem and not fully understanding what that's for. So.
Absolutely.
But no, well, thank you, Laura, for all of your help. And obviously, if you need, to dive deeper into some of the more, that SEO is a big.
It's a big thing.
A big thing there. But our marketing strategies topic in your business compass, which is online course. We also have a mentoring packages as well. And then in June, we'll be releasing our guided course, which will take you through for 12 months with weekly check-ins and personalised advice and support. So keep an eye out for that. But thanks for joining us, and thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
And thanks for Audrey for her cameo. We'll catch you guys soon. Bye.